All right, you guys ready?
You going? Let's
Hell
do this.
yeah.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 8 of Puck Rock Rangers. I'm Stefan. Green shirt is Palmer. And for the first time, we have two special guests, Tim and Rob from the band Bend
What's
the Knee.
up?
Yo.
We got a lot to talk about today. Going to do some hockey talk, some music talk, and all that good stuff. So let's get into this. Palmer, would you like to give these guys a formal introduction?
Yeah, I'll introduce them quickly. This is Rob. This is Tim from Virginia metal band Bend the Knee. And I was going to let you guys kind of introduce yourselves. Let's start off. A quick question I had, kind of what, and this is not just limited to hockey. So what teams do you guys rep? What are your teams? And just generally, how did you guys get into sports?
All right, I'll start with this. So I got into sports. I'm a huge, I guess, I've always been a huge fan of, jerseys in general. Just drawn to, the look of a jersey. So I started really getting into hockey because they have the most, outspoken colors and logos. And I guess it all started with I had a Dominic Hasek figurine on my, bedside table as a kid. And I would just stare at that thing and just be, and it was the goat head jersey, and
Sick.
just obsessed with that. So that got me into the Red Wings. So I was a huge Red Wings fan as a kid, and then my whole family is from Pittsburgh. So eventually, I just had to become indoctrinated as a Pittsburgh fan, just because I was sick of and tired of getting ragged on by my uncles. But yeah, I just love sports in general and just everything that's connected to it, the look of it, everything, the feeling, the emotion. So yeah.
Well, I grew up playing baseball, playing hockey. Grew up close to Citi Field and Shea Stadium and the Coliseum, so I was always going to games as a kid. And baseball is the summer thing, hockey is the winter thing.
Yeah.
There's always something good going on, right? And I always love going to games. I feel like that's where the passion's at. It's like coming from being in a band, right? It's like the same as going to a show. You're seeing your favorite band, you're seeing your favorite team. It's high energy, it's awesome. Even if your team loses, you're still gonna have a good time. And I've always kind of been drawn to that,
All right.
Okay. And I think I already fucked up, but that's all right. This is a punk rock show. I was going to ask you guys, what have you been up to? Kind of just give us a feel for what you guys are up to lately. We'll start with Tim.
So last night I went to the 930 Club in D.C., and I went to see a band that was actually opening for another band. The main band was called Julie, and they're like a noise rock kind of Deftones-y, shoegazy band. But the band I went to see is called Frost Children, and I swear this has been one of the craziest uprisings of a band I've ever seen. So I'm 100% sure that most of the people there were just for the Frost Children, and me just left after they played. But it had to be one of the hypest shows I've ever seen. Those two, it's a duo, and they bring so much energy to their live performance. It's insane. I pretty much was just jumping and going crazy in the pit the entire night. And yeah, I need to see them again as soon as possible. So
Sounds awesome. I haven't heard of either of those guys, so maybe I'll have to check them out.
yeah, check out Frost Children. Literally, it's the next wave of, I don't know, alternative pop / 2000s emo. It's just insane. It's a mix of every genre you want to hear in a song.
Gotcha.
So we've been pretty busy. So like I said, Tim and I, we're in a band, Bend the Knee. We're about to put out an EP in a couple weeks. So that's been nuts. It's been working on this thing for months leading up to this, which is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
We got some shows coming up. So we've been busy, man. I feel like staying active, just trying to get out there. We just booked a little run at the end of next month. We're going to be in Fredericksburg, November 21st, Martinsville, West Virginia, then the 22nd, and then Manassas up on the 23rd. So nice little run with the homies in Fall Sense. Should be cool.
Nice. Yeah, we'll get more into band plans and stuff like that. But that's awesome, dude. I've been busy. Work's been crazy, but besides that, enjoying hockey season. Actually, did watch some of the baseball. You coaxed me into caring about the Mets a little bit.
Good.
So that was kind of cool. And went to that show that you put on Friday. That was a good time.
Shout out Fit Check.
Shout out Fit Check. And shout out Beef.
Shout out
too,
Winter
man.
Wolf and Beef.
And Winter Wolf, homies from New York.
Shout out Molt. Shout out Morgan Brown.
Shout out everyone. Rival Booking, Banditos. We'll just do that all.
Shout out Banditos.
That was a good show, man. Really had a good time.
thank you.
And me and Chase, who I kind of kept it cool, had maybe a couple beers, but Chase had a couple more than I did.
My man was having a good time.
Yeah, he was having a good time. I made sure he got home safely. We didn't get in any trouble. So.
Good.
And other than that, enjoyed the game Saturday. Rangers beat Toronto. My wife is not a huge hockey fan, but she does like the Maple Leafs, and we had a little wager going. And I am not wearing a Toronto jersey tonight.
Good.
Because the Rangers won. That was the wager, that if the Rangers lost, I was gonna have to wear a Leafs jersey.
Is she interested in a Justin Bieber reversible Leafs jersey? I have one in her size.
She might be. I'll have to.
Of course you
I
would.
can sell that to you. I
Yeah,
have
no.
hundreds of jerseys. So.
That is no lie. He has hundreds of jerseys.
I'll have to
Can't
ask her
confirm.
about that. But what about you, Stefan? What have you been up to, man?
Well, I took on a new job, and I didn't quit my old job, but because I'm my own boss, I was able to adjust my hours, and I took on a new job. And if anybody who knows who Fran Dreschner is, I am now a nanny.
I love the nanny.
Yeah, oh my God. But in
Shout
all
out.
seriousness, I get to be a stay-at-home dad during the days. I'll be babysitting my nephew, which is pretty cool. And then during the nights, I'll be doing my tattooing thing as usual, just a little bit different. So it's a huge change up for me, but it's going to be a lot of fun. It's been fun for the past week, so that's pretty much the big change in my life. Besides that, lots of hockey. That's really about it. So nothing too crazy.
Got you.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right, we're gonna move things along. We'll get right into what's been going on kind of this season. I'm not sure how much hockey you guys have been watching. Steph and I've been watching a lot.
Penguins suck. Their defense sucks. Just Tristan Jarry got sent home from Canada. They're doing a little away stand, and they said, Tristan, go back to Pittsburgh and learn how to play goalie again. This is the Penguins' last year. This is a make or break year for the Penguins. So, yeah, if we don't get it in the playoffs at least this year, I don't know what's going to happen. But there's going to be major trades in the offseason. So that's how it's been going for us. But
And
Yeah,
you're saying the same thing that I've been saying all season. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, the Penguins are in that spot where they're either gonna do it or they're not, but they look like they're toast. I actually put my neck out on the line. Was it last episode or one of the last episodes? And I picked them to go third in the Metro against better judgment. Based on experience, based on what Crosby and Malkin have done in the past, I just don't see them missing the playoffs 3 seasons in a row. I think the pedigree is there, whether I like it or not.
You know, I appreciate you giving respect to Crosby and Malkin, and I understand why you would as a Rangers fan. As a Penguins fan myself, I don't have to respect them. Malkin, honestly, though, Malkin did have his 500th goal, which is so cool. That game, did you watch that game where Crosby scored like his something? I don't know what it was, like 1,500 assists possibly, and then Malkin got his 500th. They went to overtime. And then Malkin and Crosby had the connection to win it in overtime. That was a sick game.
I've not seen that, but I did see. I think I had a note here. Malkin's like in the top 10 in the league right now.
Oh, yeah, he's
Older
killing
than
it.
Malkin
Yeah.
at 38 years young, and that's awesome. And a little side note about Malkin. You know, I'm a confirmed Penguins hater, but and I don't play video games too much anymore. But back when I used to play like NHL 14, I would always take the Rangers, and the first thing I would do is I would swap out Brad Richards and whoever else I could attach to the Penguins for Malkin.
I love
So
that.
Malkin in blue always looked really good to me, and I mean he'd put up like 80 points, 80 goals. So he was usually my stud. But
He runs through people. He's just crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, his gameplay is just so different than other players.
yeah, he's not real graceful. Like he kind of skates with like he's got like cement shoes and just kind of ploppy, but he gets the job done. Man, I've always liked Malkin actually for a Penguin. So
Yeah, Malkin is a Russian player, and it sucks that they're not going to be, the Russian players are not going to be in the contest, replacing the All-Stars competition. Malkin's just one of the many superstars names that we as fans won't get to see play. And it sucks. I don't know if it's like some geopolitical, I don't know what the deal is, but there are 4 teams. Russia's not one of them. It kind of upset me that we're not going to get to see one of our favorites play.
Did you see those jerseys? They just released the jerseys for that.
Are they sick?
No. They're made by they're made by Fanatics, so
okay.
you can just assume they're just ass.
They're pretty much what I remember of Olympic jerseys. I've always have like the Swedish yellow with the crown. That's a pretty sick jersey, so I do like that one. But it's nothing special. I was kind of hoping they'd go out on a limb, and they didn't.
Like Herb Brooks, better, not good, but better.
Again.
Sorry.
The Penguins. I mean, I don't know. We were gonna leave the 6-0 home loss alone, so we'll get right over that. But
thank you.
But I don't know. I mean, they've had some good bouts. I actually had a Penguins question because I know they brought in former Ranger Kevin Hayes. I know he's kind of towards the end of things, but besides him and the big 3, the ones we all know, are there any Penguins we should kind of keep an eye out for?
Yeah, definitely our bottom liners. Hayes has been doing decent, but Lars Eller is like our third captain. Like that dude's just taken complete reign over like the bottom line.
Another old guy.
He's old, but he has a lot of wisdom. Young guys. I mean, what is his name? Puliarvi's doing decent. I don't want to butcher his name. But really what the big thing right now is all of our defenders, like Graves. Who else can I throw under the bus? Basically, what is Pedersen? Our defenders have been terrible this year. So until we fix that problem, you can score as many goals as you want. The teams are just going to come back and beat you. But, yeah, I mean, if you want to see fun, fast hockey, I guess Lars Eller is one. And then my favorite Penguin for the last 3 years has been Raquel. I absolutely love Raquel. That dude is just phenomenal. Super fast on the ice, aggressive. So, yep.
Nice.
I kind of had a question, too.
Fire away.
So you kind of touched on the grievances of your team a little bit already. What are both of you? I want to know from an Islanders fan and from a Penguins fan, what are you most looking forward to in the future with your team?
Barzal. Matt Barzal.
He's a stud.
Actually, I want to see what Anthony Duclair does with the Islanders. I know he's hurt right now. He's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. And he seems like he's one of those guys that like needed a new system to stay consistent. I feel like playing with Barzal is going to do that for him, playing under Patrick Waugh. So I'm kind of stoked on that. I want to see if Sorokin brings it back. Hopefully he's like not hurt anymore. Mm-hmm. I know he had surgery in the offseason. I'm sure playing under Patrick Waugh's got to be kind of tough. We were talking about that earlier. And I want to see what Patrick Waugh does. I feel like when he took over the team last year, they went from being kind of a whack team to like sneaking into the playoffs. He had a lot of success with Colorado back in the day, obviously, and he is also obviously one of the greatest goalies, if not the greatest goalie of all time. So I'm actually really excited to see what he does over a full season.
He's a lot like a Torch style coach where he knows how to squeeze the juice out of what he has to work with, and get the best out of the players he has. I mean, I'm not saying that the Islanders are have slouch team, like a slouch roster at all.
They are literally the definition of mediocrity at 2-2 right now.
Yeah, they're like
I mean, they're beating the Devils right now, which is awesome.
They're a middle of the league team, but
it's
with
funny,
a coach like that, he's the type of coach who would be able to get him over the hump into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think so.
It's funny that you use the word mediocre or mediocrity because I literally had a question in my notes. Why are the Islanders so mid?
that hurts a little bit. Well, their D kind of sucks.
And let me add upon that question because I'm not just talking about this season and they're 2-2-1. I'm talking about in general. Like
and their
the
career
fisherman jersey.
Very mid.
The fisherman jerseys. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, that was the heyday. I mean, I feel like Lou Lamoriello taking the team over is awesome. I feel like the era of Garth Snow and Doug Waite is long behind us. I feel like playing in the Barclays Center was a bad look for a couple of years. That was not a great place to watch hockey. And before that, they just had a cheap team and cheap owners. Like I've been going to games since like the early 90s. I remember some really parse years at the Coliseum. I've also seen him make the playoffs a bunch of times. But I feel like they've just had some kind of shitty owners over the years, you know. But I feel like they're on track right now. You know, they got good ownership, they got good GM, they got a good coach, they got a nice young squad. Hopefully they won't be mid for too much longer.
They got nice shaved faces.
Yeah.
The Islanders, and I don't have as much venom prepared for Pittsburgh because I feel like that's like
not?
Because right now it's a matchup. It's just they're just not there. You know, years ago
It's low hanging fruit.
it is.
Fair
It
enough.
is. It is, and in some way the Islanders are too. But I had this thought on the way here actually that kind of hit me. But the Islanders are that guy that peaked in high school.
Oh,
And if you think about
that kind of hurts,
they
bro.
had-
That
they
hurts
had-
a little bit.
They had 4 of the best years ever, right in a row, and haven't done shit in 40
So
years.
let me tell you, as a suffering like lesser New York sports fan, right? I don't like the Yankees. I don't like the Rangers. I don't like the Knicks. I don't like any of our football teams because they're all clown shows, right? My 2 teams, they both peaked in the 80s. The last time the Mets won a World Series was 86, and then the Islanders had that stretch of the 80s where they won 4.
Oh yeah.
And I think the last time either of them won anything was literally the year I was born. I'm fucking 38, dude. It's horrible.
And for the Zoomers out there, that's pre-Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. That's a long time ago.
Yeah,
Long time ago.
yeah.
Dang.
We're talking about like ashtrays in the back in the
true.
side door of your car days.
Still
you know
smoke
what I mean?
cigarettes inside places.
I just bought a car that has ashtrays in the doors. So.
And the cigarette thing that pops out, they still came equipped with the cars.
Hey, it hasn't been that long. I mean, the Rangers, they can at least like we kind of rest our hats on. Like we've knocked on the door, we've been relevant, but like haven't done shit really since '94, other than a couple long runs. So
after this Panthers game, it's got me questioning what's going to happen from here on out because we beat teams that we're expected to beat, and then the one team that just owned us all playoffs long.
did anyone watch that? You guys watch that game?
It was brutal.
What was the score? Give me the highlights.
It was 3-1 Panthers, and it was pretty much over halfway through the second. Panthers went up too early, so I actually, by the time I got the fucking game on, it was already 1-0 Panthers. So I didn't actually see the first goal, and then right after that it was 2-0. Lafreniere scored, and you got a feeling that the tides could turn, and it was just all Panthers the rest of the
So
way. Man.
you were getting like PTSD flashbacks from the playoffs.
Exactly
Well,
that.
It was
100%.
the exact same.
It was the same
and
formula.
It was the Panthers being the Panthers. They get a goal or two ahead, and then they play shut down, boring hockey. And
Shout out Bobrovsky.
that's actually, it was a complete matchup between Bobrovsky and Shesterkin. Had it not been for those two in net, it could have easily been like a 6-6, 6-7 type game. Like there was so many chances, but the goalies were shutting everything down. They just so happened to get the best of us on it.
Yeah, and I will echo the shout out Bobrovsky. He beat Henrik Lundqvist of all people in MSG for the fastest of 400 wins, was it, or youngest of? I'm trying to think of the record, but it was like fewest games to 400 wins or something like that. I can't
Yeah, he
remember
beat
now.
the record.
But yeah, shout out Bob.
Yep.
But and you know the Cats, man, that's a tough team, man. That game was exactly what they want. Their model is they score a couple early and then they shut it down. I've never seen a team pressure the puck like they do on the PK. And you're watching it. I thought this during the Eastern Conference Finals, and I thought it again last night. And I'm not a hockey wizard by no means, but as aggressive as they are, you got to think that leaves someone somewhere exposed, and it just no one's been able to crack that code yet. You know, there's been glimpses where the Rangers kind of gave it back. Oilers maybe looked like they had a chance, but the Cats shut it down again.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that Paul Maurice? Is that
Yes.
his work? Yeah, that dude's a legend.
Palmer Reese.
Paul Maurice.
He
Am I
thinks
saying
he-
that right? It's
thinks
not
he's
Paul.
funny.
No.
It's Palmer
Yeah,
Reese.
it's Paul
Gotcha,
Maurice.
gotcha. Gotcha.
I'm just being stupid, but yeah, and he's funny, man. He's a funny dude. He's a funny guy.
He's a comedian.
What else?
I got a question for you, Tim. So
Yeah.
the Penguins, they're one of the most disliked teams in the league from a lot of other fan bases.
Word.
So
I completely get it, but
so
yeah.
as a Penguins fan, who do Penguins fans hate the most?
Flyers.
I will
Not to
say
jump on
I
yours.
do have memories of seeing the Penguins go into Philadelphia and seeing a baby like stuffed plushy penguin getting like hung by a noose and just thinking, what the hell? I mean, like,
Sounds
there's
like
a
Philly.
line you got to draw. So I think everybody can agree that Philly fans are horrible people.
The worst.
My friend lived in Delco. He just moved down here, but Delco's just a shithole. It's the worst place you could live. Philly's actually a really bad city now. I don't know if it's like a drug epidemic or not, but
It is.
yeah, if you live in Philly, hey, come down here. We got lots of developing areas in Virginia for you. But yeah, I think it's just gonna be, for me, it would be probably like a personal hatred I have for certain teams. Like I really don't like the Kings, but that wouldn't really be a Penguins like rivalry. But yeah, anybody who just injures our players too annoys me. So yeah, unfortunately, I guess from the last few years, I'm gonna have to say the Rangers. I'm not just saying that because I'm on the Puck Rock Rangers podcast, but yeah, you guys injured the shit out of us in the last few playoff runs we had, and it was really kind of annoying. Like Adam Fox, yeah, I don't like that guy. So, yep.
And it's reciprocal from Ranger fans. You know, the old school, old guard of Ranger fans will tell you it's the Islanders. And sure, I don't like the Islanders. I'm actually a strange Ranger fan that I do like the Flyers. I grew up liking the Flyers a little bit. You know, Rangers have always been my team, but I like them, so I kind of stick with them a little bit. But yeah, I mean, if you ask most Ranger fans, I mean, I would think they'd say the Penguins, and a lot of it's the success.
Devils
I think
too.
I want to sit here and talk shit about the Penguins. All I could say is, oh, they're old, but like they're old, but they're on the back end of a dynasty. So there's teams that are just old and never did it. So there's only so much you can say really about that. But yeah, I would say it's reciprocal. Rangers, Penguins is really, and there's been some heated playoff runs that have gone both ways, and that adds fuel to the fire. Where the Rangers and Islanders haven't met in the playoffs in millennia. It feels
Very
like.
long time. Yeah.
This is where we go fisticuffs, right? We just start fighting.
Drop the
Drop the
gloves.
gloves.
I saw this. So I have to go to Caps games because I live near DC. But the craziest thing I've ever witnessed at a Caps game was this one dude after a loss was, I think it was the Islanders too, and he was like cussing out these Islanders fans. He was like, "Fuck you," and he was like backing up. This dude was definitely plastered. And he backed up right into this like police officer who had to be like 6'5", and he just is like, "Fuck you." Comes to a complete stop, like he hit a wall and looks behind him and just like, oh shit. But yeah, I've seen fights after Caps games between like fans, and it's wild.
Yeah, I was gonna ask why not the Caps, but I went to a Pittsburgh Penguins and Washington Capitals game one time, and I believe the Penguins won the game, and outside of the arena, there was this staircase where all the Penguins fans were lined up on it.
Yes.
And it was like a riot pretty much going on. So I pull out my phone, I start recording, and some Caps fan walks in front of my phone and says, "Malkin sucks a fat dick." And I'm like, oh my God, I got it.
That's the tradition. Is I think it's the portrait gallery steps they go on to, but every time the Penguins win, it's known by all Penguins fans who live near DC that you go to those steps and celebrate on those steps. So yeah,
It was interesting.
I feel like that's what makes hockey kind of interesting, though, right? Is like the fans are nuts. Hockey fans are a special breed. We used to have the Islanders Rangers. You would take the Long Island Railroad getting in from Long Island to the city. And if the Islanders lost coming home from Madison Square Garden, that train was fucked up, dude. People were fighting. The cops were coming on. Like, there's a lot of cursing. It just was really rowdy. I feel like you don't see that at other sports. Like, that's not football. That's not baseball. That's not basketball. It's strictly hockey.
On and off the ice.
Yeah, pretty much.
Football, what you see, a lot of fan fights, and unfortunately, it's a lot of like bigger guys hitting on girls and all kinds of shit like that. Where like hockey fights, it's usually just two dudes who had way too much Molson, way too much Labatt Blue, and ready to go for the boys.
Bird.
All right, let's move this along, man. I'm trying to think any more hockey stuff. I kind of want to get into the music side of things here. But
well, before we do that, we did have a question from one of our viewers that we want to take a second to give him a shout out and answer. A viewer of ours, Tommy Donovan, and I got the question written down right here.
Tommy!
What's up, Tommy?
What's up, Tommy? How you doing, bud? With Rempe getting sent down to Hartford and Ruedel being placed on waivers, do we think there's a big trade in the future, or is it just because VC is going to be coming back sooner than later? I'll go first. I don't think there's a big trade coming. I think it is that VC is coming back. I mean, if the Rangers were going to make a big trade, they would have made a big trade. I think it's pretty clear that they are content with running it back. And within the last 2 seasons, they didn't make any real ruckus during the trade deadline. I mean, they got Patrick Kane, but he was injured. So they tend to like to go for bargains. And I think they kind of just trust the team and the roster they have right now. So I don't see it being any big moves coming this season. Would I like it? It might be interesting, but I just don't see it.
I can forecast some big moves coming, but I don't think Rempe getting sent down to the A or Ruedel getting waived have anything to do with that. I think that's just roster moves. It's early. Puedel is a kind of a journeyman. There's not a whole lot of value there.
That's a original Penguin, I
it was
believe,
a Penguin,
and I
yeah.
can't believe you guys have him, and he's still in the NHL because he wasn't
Speaking
good.
Real quick, back to Penguins Rangers rivalry. For teams that fucking hate each other, they like to make little trades and shit together too. Though.
Yeah, that's true.
Riley Smith.
So, but Riley Smith.
But we got the Vegas Riley Smith and not the Penguins Riley Smith. So
Yeah, Riley Smith was awful for us last year.
Yeah, he's looking good, man. He's had a couple of nice goals, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think those moves mean a big trade's coming. I think it's more just roster moves early in the season. I don't think Rempe's done yet. I think Rempe Mania is coming.
Hell yeah, they're saving it for the playoffs. They don't want the CTE to kick in yet.
They're gonna call him up for next time we play the Devils again. Have a little line brawl action.
Next time
again.
someone needs an elbow to the melon, we're gonna get Rempe in the line. But no, I mean, you feel for guys. I mean, we could have the same conversation. Steph and I will probably touch on this later, but Zach Jones getting moved around in the lineup. You got to sometimes make tough calls in this industry, and you want to see everyone play, but it's not Pee Wee hockey at house league. It's the pros, and you get moves like that. But yeah, I think Rempe you could see back. Puedel, I wouldn't be surprised if he got claimed. I wouldn't be surprised if he stayed in A for a while. Cool. Do you have a take on this? Have you paid any attention to that?
I don't. Fuck the Rangers.
Rempe Mania. Fuck the Rangers. Is that what you said? All right, a couple more hockey topics I have. Have either of you guys watched Face Off Inside the NHL Season 1 on Amazon Prime?
Dig fucking deep!
Right
No.
fucking now!
I haven't got to see it yet. I saw that clip, though. I need to watch it on my own time because I don't think my girlfriend's going to want to watch it. But
It's a pretty easy watch. I knocked it out, I think, like in one night or 2 nights. I think it's only 6 episodes. They start off, it kind of jumps around. First episode kind of covers Willie Nylander and what it's like to be a Leaf.
and his relationship with pasta.
Yeah, and his relationship with pasta. They covered, some of the finals, more so from like the Kachucks and McDavid's standpoint. And it's a pretty good series. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to season 2. There's another series out, I think it was on Prime too, called Game 7. And it's not just hockey. It's baseball, hockey, and basketball. I guess that's the other sport with the Game 7s. And it has a bunch of New York ties to it. So I'm looking forward to that too. But
Nice.
I guess if you guys haven't watched it, have you watched that, Stefan? All right. We got to get caught up on that. We'll come back to that. And then I was going to ask just for, I think Steph and I may have given our answers on this, but we can always revisit. Do you guys have just a pick out of the hat Stanley Cup Finals matchup and winner prediction? I know it's super early. Not going to hold your feet to the fire here, but any thoughts on that?
It is super early. My team is terrible, so I'm not going to throw my hat in
Well,
the
don't
ring.
be a homer and pick the Island. That's not going to happen. Pick
I
a
know.
team that's got a
That's what I'm
chance.
saying. I know. That's why I'm not weighing in. I'm going to hurt my own feelings.
I'm going Utah Jazz.
The Storm and
First year
Mormons.
as a team.
Shout out Sam Rosen.
The Storm and Mormons.
The Storm and Mormons, Utah Jazz. We don't know what not the Jazz, the Utah hockey team. Yeah, I guess what will they be? The Mammoth, the
Yeti or Mammoth or Hockey Club.
Yeah, the
That's kinda
Utah Hockey Club in their first Stanley Cup Finals, and they're going to be playing. Let me think. The Sabres. That would be my ideal Stanley Cup. Yeah.
And that's the fire alarms going off because that is a smoldering hot take
I tried to go with the hottest take I could
right
make.
there.
All right.
Rob, you got a no?
No, I'm waving my.
Not even a guess.
Plead
All
the
right.
fifth. Plead the fifth.
Stefan, I think we maybe that might have been some of the shit that was cut out.
We cut it out because we were a bunch of idiots. But I chose Nashville for East just because it's like close to the East Coast. But they're a West Coast team, so we never aired it. Anyway, my actual guess is I think it's going to be what's that? Yeah, I need a map. Well, it doesn't make sense. Like I just feel like I don't know. Whatever. Geography's not my big thing, so. I think it's going to be for the West. I'm going to say it's going to be between. Can I do it between Stars or
You can do whatever you
Oilers?
want.
I think it's
going
going to be either the Stars or the Oilers for the East.
for the West.
Hopefully, or wet. See, I told you geography. So, for the East, I'm just gonna be a homer and say the Rangers. They've just came too close too many times. If somebody can beat the Florida Panthers before we have to see them in the playoffs, if somebody takes out the Florida Panthers, I don't think there's a team that's gonna be able to beat us. I don't know. That's my take.
All right, I want to do a real take now. Jets Bruins. That's what I'm going with.
Jets Bruins. I like that. The Jets are a team I want to pick, but man, they let you down every season in the playoffs. They look
Not
so
this
good.
one.
And I love Bucky and Net. I mean, there's a lot of guys there I like, but man, every year. So that's a tough pick. I feel unprepared, even though it's my question. You know, the Rangers have a chance. I mean, that is a homer pick, but they do have a chance. I could also see the Cats running it. And, I mean, they're just so tough. So, based on the ass kicking I witnessed, I'm going to pick the Cats in the East. And I should have checked this beforehand. My eyes on Landeskog, if he can come back. But I think if he can come back and play effective hockey, I love the Avalanche kind of getting their shit back together. So, I'll pick them hinging on Landy coming back.
I respect that. I could definitely see that. The Avs look like they're going to make a huge push last year, and it just kind of fell apart. But I think with the right matchup and path to the Stanley Cup, they could definitely make it.
Well, the way Winnipeg's playing right now, they're 6-0. They're on a heater.
Yeah, they are.
If they can maintain the style of play that they've been playing, which I'm sure is going to be hard to do, but if they can, then watch out.
I love the whiteout they do in the playoffs, too. They get all the fans in the white. I mean,
sick.
It really looks like a snowstorm up there, so that's pretty sick.
Hot take again. Canadian, especially the Western Canadian teams have the best fandom and home game environments in the NHL. Anyways, that's a hot take. Maybe, yeah. We're Americans, so.
I'll add on that. Calgary probably has the coolest stadium named the Saddle Dome. That sounds pretty cool.
That is
Look at their cowboy hat.
Hey, bird of bees.
It is cattle country.
Exactly, bird of bees. All right, we're going to move on to some music stuff. And I think a good transition into that is I wanted to ask Tim a little bit about his YouTube channel. You have a YouTube channel, Strings and Sweaters. I wrote it down because I always mix it up, even though I've watched a couple of videos. What can you tell us a little about it, man?
Yeah. So just with the name, what happened? We scored?
Devils tied it up.
Just for everyone at home, we got the Islanders-Devils game, and the greasy Devils.
A minute
just
and a half left
minute
in the
30
game.
left.
Got that goal.
It's been 3-2 all period.
Brett.
The Brat.
Jasper.
The Brat Pack.
All right, that actually is a good transition into the Strings and Sweaters so it's about me collecting hockey jerseys. That's the sweaters part, and then me playing guitar and just music stuff. That's the strings, basically. But I just like the alliteration of it too. But I don't have a Devils jersey in my collection. I haven't finished my collection yet. I do want to get all the hockey teams out there. but don't have a Devils jersey, which is odd because I play in a metal band where I wear hockey jerseys on stage, and that's the most metal hockey jersey you could have is the Devils.
We did a trip up to New York in February, and my man bought a Trent Hunter Islanders jersey just to play Long Island.
Yeah, I had the Trent Hunter on for the Islander.
That's a pretty obscure Islander.
I just want to say,
I'm just saying, that's dope.
I'm not a huge fan of most Islanders jerseys because same with like Edmonton because the orange and blue just doesn't really look good together in my opinion. But that jersey is sick,
Dude,
This is the inaugural season when they were in Brooklyn.
what did I tell you when you got here?
I know this one was sharp, and you know a lot of fans hate this one, because a lot of the old school fans love the fisherman jersey.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the fisherman jersey, right? Like I would cop a Kenny Johnson fisherman jersey in like 2 minutes if I could find one. I can never find one.
Quick side note while we're on jerseys, how awful were the Islanders Stadium Series jerseys last season?
Worst.
Pretty horrendous.
You should watch my tier list, strings and sweaters. I'll
Yeah.
link that in the video.
He has an episode.
I mean,
So bad.
so bad. So bad. Sorry, so bad.
Yeah, they were pretty bad.
But, yeah, where were we? Strings and sweaters.
Yeah, I mean, just like the conversation we just had. If you could have that conversation about jerseys for an hour, check out the channel because that's pretty much all I talk about is just hockey jerseys. I am working on right now some tier lists because I just like the format of like tier list videos, and I'm doing trying to do like every guitar brand tier list. So I'll go over every model a guitar brand has made. So I've made one for Fender and BC Rich, where I just like put every model in a tier list, and I'll talk about the history of like each model and what I think about them. So that's coming very soon. Be on the lookout for that. But yeah, it's trying to always do something new. I've been kind of dipping my feet into like doing video game playthroughs too. I got a whole green screen background so I could like seamlessly put myself in the video game while I play it. But yeah, just kind of like trial and error stuff because that's the only way you learn, you just got to do it. So, but yeah, thanks for asking me about that free promotion there.
Yeah, no problem, man. I keep an eye on you and what you're doing. And when I do watch the videos, Steph and I are very new to this, but I always appreciate the quality and makes me think of what we can do to kind of up our game a little bit.
That means a lot. Thank you.
All right, we're going to get into music stuff, man. These guys are with Bend the Knee. They are a Virginia metal band. What do you call home? What would you guys call yourself, like a Richmond band or a Fredericksburg band? What do you guys call home?
Parts unknown.
Parts unknown?
No, I mean, we kind of say we're a Richmond band just because we do play Richmond a lot, being it's from where we all live, one of the easier markets to kind of get into. I'm living in Richmond, but I'm not a Richmond guy, But that's kind of where we say we're from. We practice in Fredericksburg. We play all over the place. So,
Gotcha. And for those of you out, not in Virginia, Fredericksburg and Richmond about an hour apart, so it's pretty close. The scenes are very close, tight knit. We got a lot of homies between the two. So,
truth.
All right, what do you guys do for the band? What do y'all play? Or what do y'all do in the band?
I slap at the bass.
Slap at the bass. Nice.
Yeah, I play bass. I do some of the electronic parts that you hear in our music too. Usually I'm the one sitting on the Instagram talking shit to people, staying busy.
So being you're the bassist, we're going to cut all your audio out.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just Jason Newsted me. It's fine.
Yeah, Rob's contribution has been a huge part, and I can add to that. I am the vocalist. I do screaming and singing, and with this new EP, we have a lot of singing parts, and his like production that he's added to our songs has allowed for so many great hooks and choruses now that we're kind of implementing into our songs. So I think we're really finding our footing of like what each member does and how we can grow and get better at like what we're doing.
That's awesome. And I actually had a note here. Just tell us briefly about the other members in the band.
We have Oscar, our drummer. He is like a power lifter, crazy dude.
Mildly terrifying.
A terrifying dude. No, he's like the sweetest human being you'll ever meet.
When he's into all this like Viking D&D live action shit, right?
The LARPing.
And
yes.
he looks the part.
I feel like he could probably stab somebody's neck.
Shout out
like
Oscar,
Jean-Claude Van Damme status.
Shout out Oscar, man. I like him a lot.
Then we have Travis, who is our six-string gangster. He is a literal guitar wizard. I've been in bands a long time. My man Travis, like when dudes write guitar riffs and sentences, my man writes in like paragraphs. He's like, I don't know.
With
He's a freak,
italics
dude.
on, with italics on.
Yeah, for real,
Crazy.
for real. He's a wizard. He's a wizard. He's Gandalf.
Yeah.
Big bless.
Yeah. Travis is an interesting cat. He's in the years, more so back in the Genosha days, but he would send me stuff he was working on, and it was complete. You know, like he programmed the drums, guitar, bass. I mean, it was really impressive. And yeah, I like Travis a lot. Travis is honestly the one I've known the longest out of,
I'm
out
sure.
of you guys.
Well, y'all were playing with because me and him, I know Travis. We were in Genosha for a little bit, and I know that's how I know you.
Yeah.
When you were in 333, we kind of crossed paths right at the end of both of those bands.
Yeah.
But I know that you played with Travis a whole bunch.
Yeah,
like
a lot.
back when y'all were like heavy and active.
Yeah, for sure. And shout out Travis, 3-time champion of my fantasy football league. And a cool thing about Bend the Knee is 3 of you guys are in the league. Rob is not. He's the one that's not. But
I don't play fantasy
Tim,
football
Oscar,
anymore.
and Travis all in it.
I get too competitive. I can't play fantasy sports anymore, especially when
Yeah.
there's money involved. I can't do it. I'm like I respect our friendship in the band more than wanting to curse everybody out and be violent about fantasy football.
It hasn't gotten violent yet, but when I take that championship belt from Travis this season, it might get violent. So
Well, Travis
we'll see.
Travis isn't the reigning champ. He's won it, but it's that guy Cameron Ruggles. Hate to see him win it, but he won it last year. So we'll see if someone can get it from him. But we'll get to the name because I think it's an interesting band name, and I feel like I've heard maybe in another interview I watched y'all kind of describe the name. But what is the intention? What's the meaning? Where's the name come from?
So we had basically like a bunch of names we threw out there, and then we just like all ranked them how we liked. And we had one number one name, and then it was, of course, already taken. If anyone's ever tried to come up with a band name, that's 100% going to happen.
Yes.
Your
Your
first
favorite one is
and
taken.
it's
And the
taken.
one that we wanted to take was apparently a massive metal band in Germany.
Yeah.
Like still active. They just don't play in
Yeah.
the States a lot, but like they're huge in Europe.
Yeah.
And
we just had no
You
idea.
almost want to tell yourself, well, that's so far away, but no, you just can't do it. You can't do it. Can't do it.
Well, as it turns out, there is a Bend the Knee from the UK, and we didn't realize that until after. But there, I guess, were some kind of small locally band.
Yeah, I'm not worried
that
about
just
that.
happened?
Oh,
Did the Islanders just win in overtime?
Go Islanders!
Yes.
Can they both lose?
Beautiful. That's hurtful.
Wow.
Signed a Ranger fan watching the Devils and Islanders in October.
Well, I appreciate y'all putting this game on, man. That's dope.
Wouldn't have
I'm
it
sure it
any
must
other
hurt
way.
every second watching this game. It must pain you just a little bit.
It's been fun. I like hockey. I mean, if I'm watching two teams I don't like, I want them to take each other's heads off. So
Word.
we got a little bit of that. It was chippy. Second period.
It was a little chippy. Yeah.
Was that your boy too, Barzell?
Yes, it was.
All right, so that distracted from
Hell yeah.
where were we? We were talking about the name.
Talking about the band.
This I will say, I've been doing these like Pilates classes, and bend the knee has taken on a totally new meaning for me because every time the instructor goes bend the knee, I'm like, I'm about to be in pain right now. So that kind of matches, you know, like the aggressiveness of the band and like the wrath that ensues. It's the same when I hear bend the knee at my classes. So I think of that. But yeah, bend the knee, just like the actual term of it just means like to either follow suit or like, you know, just submit in a way. And we kind of tie that in with a lot of the themes. Our first album, which you can check out now on streaming services, is called Eyes Beyond the Algorithm. And we kind of it's a tie-in where it's like, you know, submitting to a lot of things in our culture and with new technologies and AI and stuff like that. We
Love
kind of
the artwork,
address
by the
that.
way.
Shout out Chip
Yeah, I
Hudson.
was looking at that on the way down. Yeah, the artwork by Chip is just phenomenal on that. So if you don't even listen to music, just go check out Chip's artwork for our.
As a side note, Chip was dope. I met him at the punk rock art show out here that they do a couple times a year. I just connected with dude, and you know, we've been talking back and forth, and we kind of gave him the concept of the album, and he was like, "Say no more, fam." And 2 days later, he shows up with the rough drafts of
He
that.
fucking nailed
Yeah,
it.
it's crazy.
He nailed
Crazy.
it.
He's a sick artist. Shout out again, Chip Hudson.
I'll have to get his info because I always really did like that art.
Yeah, don't deal.
And I actually did listen to that record, and I went back and listened to a bunch of y'all's stuff just getting ready for this. and we'll get into that a little more. But whose suggestion was Bend the Knee? Who came up with that name?
Oscar.
Oscar.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you said that, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. But
No, I don't think we did. But yeah, that was his contribution. And like when I say that essentially, we were talking about how it's so hard to find like an original band name. I think we all started with like 5 apiece and just straight like did a draft until we found the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
And then we had to release the number 1 pick and then draft 1A, and that's what we wound up with. And now here we are,
Yeah.
change years later.
I wouldn't say I was 100% on the band name, but Rob has a boy up in New York, and he did this logo that is
Shut up,
probably
Mike.
one of the best band logos I've ever seen. It just sounds like I'm tooting my own horn because I'm in the band, but I also look at the band from a view of like a spectator, like a lot to, that you have to understand like, okay, what do we need to do better and critique yourself? But like that logo is so crisp. Like
Shout out Mike
You're
Alessandro.
talking about the orange spiky.
Yeah.
Bend the Knee? Yeah, I do like that a lot.
Yeah, it's Alessandro. He does like T-shirts and stuff up in New York too. You can check him out. Merch hoarder. So big ups, Mike. He's a dude.
Nice. Oh yeah. All right, we're gonna take it back. We're gonna take it back, and then after we'll kind of come back more modern, what you guys are into. But we're gonna take it back, man. What was your intro into music? I always think it's interesting. As musicians, we all kind of have a different journey, a different thing that got us here, something that stood out at a young age. So I'm curious, and you guys can pick who starts first. But yeah, where did the journey start? How did you become a music fan and eventually a musician?
I think so. It's definitely like for me, it's like Guitar Hero. I got real into. My dad's a singer and a guitarist, and if from age 4, he wanted me to play guitar, and I always told him, "No, Dad, I'm gonna be a rapper," and because I was really into hip hop. But I think Guitar Hero brought me back, and it got me really interested in playing the guitar. But then also on Guitar Hero 3, they had a track really late in the game by Fall Troy. I think it's like, what is it, FCXPR?
Something like that.
Yeah, that
The letter song.
that was like my first introduction to math rock, like mathcore in a way, and just getting to hear like polyrhythms, different meter, I instantly was hooked to that style of music. And then from there on, I found really going into like more crazy bands like Between the Buried and Me, Dillinger Escape Plan 100% with like their EP, and the stuff with Mike Patton, Ironworks. So those were like my biggest influences with sort of the metal side of music. Rob, you want to go?
So my parents were really into music. I was playing stuff at a young age. Like I played like saxophone when I was in elementary school, and was into jazz band. Big into like Charlie Parker, but like grew up listening to like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and stuff. And then probably sometime in like late middle school, I fell into like punk, and I fell into Korn and Limp Bizkit and that sort of stuff. And I heard Fear Factory for the first time when I was 13, and that shit blew my mind. And then as I got older, like into high school, I discovered hardcore, like being able to go to shows and the community that is around that, And I was fortunate enough to come up with some cool musicians. We started playing music when we were in high school, getting into the scene, seeing insane bands, like being able to think back now and say I saw bands like Avenged Sevenfold at 140 cap room in 2002. And like they're playing stadiums now, like it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what got me into it. Was like what I was saying about going to see live sports, is going to concerts, right? Going to shows, going to the mosh pit, seeing bands play. That's always kind of been my passion, man. I've been in 7 or 8 bands over the years, and my favorite thing to this day is still playing live gigs. And that's definitely what got me into it, for sure. Actually, I could tell you the pinpoint. I saw Fear Factory on my birthday, my 14th birthday. First time I was ever allowed into the New York City on a weeknight, on a school night. My parents let me go because it was my birthday. And it was Fear Factory, Kitty.
Kitty, that's a name I hadn't heard.
Oh, God, and 3 other bands I'm totally spacing on. But that shit blew my mind. I remember leaving that night going, I want to be in a band. And that was it. Like, that was literally the turning point for me, for real. Like, big ups Fear Factory.
Oh, yeah.
For me, getting into the scene, I grew up in like Central PA, near Lancaster, and my first show, like metal show, was Texas in July.
Shout out Lancaster Core.
I think it just reopened, but we had a venue called the Champ, and this was in Harrisburg, and it was like this iconic all-age, alcohol-free venue, and I got to play like my first show there, and just such a dope scene there. We had like August Burns Red, Texas in July, Sick, what this or the Apocalypse, is that what they're called?
Yeah,
Is
this
that-
was the
yeah.
Apocalypse. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that band.
You know that dude is Ice Nine Kills name?
I do know. Yeah,
Wild.
Ricky. Yeah,
Ricky. Shout out Ricky.
So-
Shout out his corgi. He had the dope corgi too. Ricky's the band.
Yeah. So I started playing guitar in like the Christian metalcore scene in like the 2000s when I was like 16. And then this band is the first band I ever did vocals for, but I always did like backup vocals in other bands while playing guitar. But yeah.
That's surprising. I'm not blowing smoke or anything. That is surprising to hear because on record and live, very very polished. I wouldn't expect that was your first band singing full time.
Thank you.
And I'm no singer. Anyone who's heard me will say that. But as someone who's sang, I know how difficult it can be. And anytime I've sang has been behind the drums too. That's its own set of challenges. But those are great answers, man. Stefan, go in, man. We all like music. I'm gonna put you on the spot here.
Yeah, don't do that.
How'd you get in the punk scene, bro?
I listened to it on Spotify. Of course, I like punk and stuff. Mostly because Palmer's my older brother, and he was real heavy into bands like NoFX, and I'd be in my room playing, and he'd be in his room jamming out to like some stuff that our parents were getting pissed off at. And I just would listen to a couple songs here and there that he would put me onto, and I liked it. And yeah, so I'm not like heavily entrenched into the scene or anything. I don't know all the bands, but I do enjoy some good hardcore punk.
True story.
And
First time I met you, you were tattooing people in the backyard at the first show that I played post-COVID with Genosha.
Yeah.
Shout out Joel's house.
It's the first time we met too.
First time I met Palmer
I
too.
still have my Genosha shirt that Joel gave me.
Sick.
I still have the spider tattoo. I got that. Still there, man. Hell yeah.
All right.
I won't. I'll go in quickly, man. I know it's my question, but I'm a musician and I want to talk. I won't bore
Bless
you
up,
guys to
dog.
death, but like, I always give my dad some credit when I talk about where I got into music, because I can remember car rides early on and him putting on the classic rock station, and like I thought kind of what you were saying. I grew up on like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and Aerosmith and Boston, like bands like that. Led Zeppelin was actually like my first true love. Probably the first record I bought with my own money was Led Zeppelin 4. So
Great
that's kind of where it
record.
started, listening to that, and my friend Taylor coined the term, or I don't know where he got it, but he says chasing the heavy dragon. And over time, it kind of started with me with like skate punk, like Stefan was saying, NoFX, Bad Religion, Rancid, and then some of the older punk, Ramones, Misfits, and some of that shit started to eke in, and I never looked back. I remember listening to one record in particular, 12 Hits from Hell, which was like a comp from the Misfits. And this is back in the days of CD players, so I was just laying on the floor listening to it, and just all night, never moved. And just like you said, the next day was like, I got to start a band, And I didn't do band in high school. Just always wanted to be in a band more so than like pursue being like a proficient musician, But yeah, that's kind of where I started, and been pretty entrenched in the scene ever since. Just grew up kind of outsider. I grew up out in the sticks, but I always tried to get out to shows and do the shit I could.
I feel like that's a statement. That's a testament, though, right? To like the culture of hardcore and punk, right? It's like you don't have to be musically trained. You just pick up a guitar, play a couple chords, and get into it. And yeah, as long as you're down, you're a part of the community. You could be in a band. You could go to shows. You could make friends through that scene.
Yeah.
I feel like that was always such an appealing thing, and that's kind of what makes what we do like special, right? It's like you could be an insane classically trained guitarist, or you could be a fucking caveman dude. It doesn't matter. Like you could get into it and be just as productive as anybody else, and meet the same people and have the same fun.
Yeah, agreed. Another thing nice about it too, at least for me, growing up out in the sticks, you get out of high school and you get to that age where like maybe your friends are all going in different directions, and I kind of considered like getting into like the scene, maybe at a later age, like like I went to shows when I was a kid, but like I wasn't part of the scene, you know. So kind of like I consider this like my second friendships, like my adult life now is like these friendships I'm forging and places you go and it's cool, man. I mean, even if you go through a town just for one night, the next time you pass through there, you think, oh, I was here, and so a lot of cool things about it, man. But everyone's got their journey. Just wanted to hear kind of where y'all started.
So kind of going back to what you were saying about playing like small towns and then passing through there again, right? That was like I feel like the second drive, like once you get past that local stage and you're able to kind of go out of town and like see different areas and play music to people that you don't know from a hole in the wall. I feel like that's what draws you in and makes you come back. I said earlier in this podcast, this is like my 7th band or 8th band, because like, kind of like what you were saying, chasing that dragon, right? You want to play shows, you want to travel, you want to meet people. Like, it's such a cool gateway to get into that, man. Like, I was in this band Doomsday Morning probably 10 years ago. We traveled all over the place, and I've been to these like towns up in New York, up in like the middle of nowhere, and down in Pennsylvania. I met so many cool people over the years. Like, that's what keeps you going doing this. Like, I've been doing it so long, I couldn't think about doing anything else, even if it's like on a side thing. You know?
That's what keeps you going. It's certainly not the money and the accolades.
Fuck no. I'm negative thousands.
All right. Just wanted to ask you guys, and you guys have kind of alluded to this, but if you wanted to go into it a little more, what's the style and the sound of the band? I mean, obviously people can hear it and kind of pick up. But what do you guys kind of call it, or what do you think of it?
It's chaos.
It is chaotic.
It's absolute chaos.
It's frenetic is the kind of word that actually came to mind for me.
I know it probably sounds like, sports analogy here, but like I feel like we talk about no ceilings, right? I feel like we're all kind of at that stage in our musical careers where we've just said, fuck it, and we're just going to do whatever we want. And if people are into it, sweet. If they're not into it, that's cool too. It doesn't have to be for everybody. I feel like we've just been we just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. Like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does work, cool. And we're not really concerning ourselves with how weird it is, We've been kind of lumped into that mathcore, metallic hardcore kind of subgenre or whatever, but I kind of think we're kind of our own entity at this point, just kind of doing whatever.
Yeah, I mean, just the way Travis writes guitar riffs is really, really unique to me. I never heard a guitar player do stuff like that. And honestly, the way that we formed was crazy because they were all together from Genosha. And I got a random text from a number I didn't know, and it was Travis. And he's like, "You do screams?" I'm like, "Not really, but yeah, I could. I'd love to do screams in a band." And I was about ready to just stop music and go on a hiatus for a few years. And like, I was like, sure, I'll go down and, try out for a band. Didn't even really know where you guys are located. And of course I drive like 2 hours to band practice, but it's worth it because when I got those first demos that you guys had ready, I was like, holy shit. Like, this is exactly the type of music I want to make right now. It's what I grew up on, and what actually gets me like really excited is just the like energy and the randomness and the chaos, but it's also orchestrated. Going back to Travis's writing style, it's thought out, and we take a lot of time. We have numbers on whiteboards at practice. We have
rewrites, like 5 different demo versions. Let's throw an extra like 20-second note in that breakdown.
Yeah,
and that's what we're gonna do now. Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, whatever.
Science.
Yeah,
it is a science for sure, for sure. And we were talking earlier. Travis is kind of a wizard, and I feel like we all kind of contribute to where we can. Tim is an awesome singer. Oscar's an awesome drummer. I think we all kind of bring something to the table and try and just do something unique, man. Like music at the end of the day, like if you're not creating what you perceive to be art, then what are you doing? Right? Like I feel like you see a lot of these like passionless bands that are just kind of playing generic bullshit to hopefully get 10,000 Spotify plays a month. And I mean, that's awesome. And I'm not judging anybody for wanting to do that. Like you want to do that, like that's cool. But I feel like creating art, that's important. That's just shit that stays with people, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you say generic, and yes, I'm a punk or I'm a metalhead, but I'll be the first to tell you, I've always called myself a metalhead who hates metal. because there's so much generic ass metal out there that I just hate. It's got to have, to me, it's got to have something that sets it apart. It's got to have some kind of different energy. I'm probably more of a punk hardcore leaner than metal, so I kind of like metal that has that kind of crossover to it. Yeah, you guys have an interesting sound. It's a very pro sound. It's a very clean sound. And I guess, maybe that's coming from me. I have, my background's more in punk, hardcore, grindcore, where it's more about just speed, aggression, short songs. There's not as much dynamic. So I really appreciate that. And then there's parts that almost remind me, and I hope y'all don't take this the wrong way, and pardon my reference here, but the clean parts almost beckon back to like some of the Taking Back Sunday. And
it's one of my favorite bands.
Brand new. Honestly, I'm not going to say one of my favorite bands, but like, I still right now will say I fuck with Taking Back Sunday. They wrote some great shit back in the day.
Shout out Long Island.
Long Island. Yep, no shit.
I remember where I was when I saw the music video for I cannot remember
Tell
the
All
name.
Your Friends.
Tell All Your Friends with like the animals in it. That,
Oh, dude.
I was glued to the screen.
I'm getting goosebumps. I had a buddy, shout out Ben Otley. I know he's not watching this, but he's the one who turned me on to I just know he's not. But he's the one who turned me on to Take Back Sunday, and man, what a run they had back in the day, seriously. But yeah, I mean, you guys have a great sound. It's not even like, no bones about it. I'm not a big metalcore or mathcore whatever guy, but I really appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you, man.
I like the weirdness, as my bands have been, 333 was pretty straightforward, kind of a wall of sound until start stop kind of band.
Y'all slept though. Just saying.
We had a run, man. It was fun, but that eventually ended. Have some new projects, but we'll move along, man. I got a couple more questions. And we're gonna play it at the end of the episode. But tell us about Betrayed, the video, what went into it. I watched the video; it's really awesome. I like the kind of home movie feel.
So, if I'm gonna be 100,000% transparent,
we broke.
Yeah, we blew our budget on the recording. I'm sure if you hear the new EP, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, okay, that checks out.
It's crisp.
I'd like to think so. Shout out Mikey Canoy and Mikey Canoy Productions. That dude is a fucking gangster. But we spent a ton of money on that, and the first video we shot with my buddy and my old bandmate Tom Flynn up in New York, and like Tom is a certified gangster. Like when it comes to music videos, like you could Google him. He's got a blue check mark next to his name on Instagram. Like he's done videos for all your favorite heavy metal bands. And I just happened to know him from back when we were in high school and we played in a band together 20 years ago. Shouts to From Bliss to Devastation. And the first shot we did was real pro, and like we wanted to do that again, but like, man, like he said, we're fucking broke, dude. It's like, you can only pay for so much. The last time we paid less money for the album, again, if I'm being super transparent, and we spent a bunch of money on that video. So this time we were like, let's just shoot something DIY. We rented a space in Richmond, kind of came up with the story. I think the video is hilarious, right? It is very tongue in cheek. There's a lot of Easter eggs. Like, we had a good time making it, man. It was fun.
Also, just shout out to these guys, because we got to this venue. We didn't really know what it was going to be like. We just saw like 2 pictures of it, and there's just giant windows all around this place. And I'm like, so like the lighting is not going to work. So, but shout out to these guys, because we thought quick on our feet. We went out to a gas station, got some large trash bags, cut them up with a knife, and just taped them on the windows. We're ready to go. So like, yeah, this is the DIY video for sure. But just feel the vibes with us. Don't go too hard on the production. Although we edited it ourselves, Travis edited the video, and I thought he did a wonderful job with it. So.
Seriously, man, and like it was supposed to kind of be that tongue in cheek B movie straight to video kind of vibe to it. Like that's kind of what we were going for.
That's the intention.
It's like, yeah, if we're going to be a low budget, we might as well lean into it, right? Yeah. And like I said, if you know us, if you watch that video, there's probably like 15 Easter eggs in there, just dumb shit that if you see it, it's funny. It's funny to us, and I think that's real important, But I think Travis did an awesome job. We did some cuts, couple reshoots, and I think it came out ace for what we put into it for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you watched it, Stefan?
No, I'm a fraud.
Sorry, it's silly. There's a moment where our drummer's like playing drums on a toilet. Like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Well, you'll get to watch it when you're editing the
I
video,
absolutely have to watch it. No,
Just look away the whole time. And just quickly, is Betrayed a single, or I know it's a single, but is it part of something, or is it just a standalone? Is it going to be like it's part of an EP or a bigger release or anything?
Yeah, we have an EP coming out next month. Give us
November 12th.
November 12th.
Pre-save on Spotify.
Yeah, we have the pre-save out right
Link
now.
in bio.
There's going to be 2 other songs, and we can consider Betray the single, but all the songs have some really catchy parts. I think this EP was a really good step in the right direction. I don't think we really foresaw like how much melodic singing parts we were going to add and jammy parts, but really it's so like there's so many catchy little things on this. The production is phenomenal too. Shout out Mikey. So really like we put our heart and soul into this, and I would very much appreciate whoever checks the EP out for sure.
And we still have some more stuff coming down the pike. Like we have, I think what we want to do is put out a couple EPs and maybe eventually press it into a record. Like once they're done, these next couple songs we have down the pike, like is melodic and clean as this batch is. The next batch is the opposite of that. Like they're nuts.
It's
So
like
we're
a
trying
Freddy Krueger's nightmare. It's
Dude,
insane.
seriously. Yeah, it's like they may be the hardest songs I've ever had to play on bass guitar. Travis makes me work like a second guitarist. It's kind of fucked up, like when you think about it. Like I shouldn't have to work as hard as I do. But so, it's I think we did put a lot of love into this, and I'm stoked about this EP and it coming out, and people kind of checking it out. And again, if you dig it, sweet. If you don't, cool. Just whatever.
If Travis is working you too hard, meet me at the Plaza Hotel.
I got
a job for you. He knows what I'm talking about. He's too busy for old Palmer.
I'm sorry, Palmer. I'm sorry.
Shout out King of New York.
Shout out incestuous punk and metal scenes that like everyone's in a million bands and everyone's in this band, that band. That's the way it works. So
yeah, I feel like I know people down here in Richmond that are in like 7 bands.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you even have the time for that?
Well, you're from a city where like Richmond's like a neighborhood.
Kind of where Long Island was just as incestuous. Like there's no difference. Like New York City is one thing, but the island, everybody was in bands with everybody. But that's just kind of how it is. Like I couldn't imagine doing more than 2 bands, right? And I feel like I know people that do 7 bands. I don't even have the bandwidth to do that shit. How do you remember songs for 7 fucking bands? Like how could you? It's impossible to me.
I couldn't.
Like it's an art. You're an artist, or sometimes
The art of
capable of doing things that we
for real,
find
for real.
absolutely
I mean, respect to
insane.
anybody that could do that. I think it's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like I just couldn't have the bandwidth for that, man. For real.
Mm-hmm.
Respect.
All right, we're gonna rattle off a couple. We kind of alluded to this, but we do have some Richmond watchers. Obviously people out of town aren't gonna come all the way down. But any shows coming up? Anything people should keep an eye out for? Any new merch? Any tours? What's going on in the short term?
So yeah, we got this EP coming out on the 12th. We have a show in Fredericksburg on the 21st.
Where?
Madame's Odysseys, which is Madame's Oddities. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Shout out Fredericksburg.
Yeah, that's a cool spot.
Yeah, really cool spot. It's all ages. So like, hopefully some of the kids over the college over there come through and have a good time. And we got some friends up there, so it should be dope. That's with Thalidomide and False Sense and Disposed. So we got a couple bands from out of town. Should be really cool. Then we got something out in Martinsburg, West Virginia on the 22nd at Bad Habits, also with Disposed and False Sense. And then Manassas, November 23rd up at the Salisbury Arts Center. That's also what False Sense. We're doing the whole 3 days with them. I don't know who else is on that bill. We just confirmed it today, but we should have an announcement here in the next couple days. It should be sweet. I think we got something going on in Virginia Beach, 12/14 with Josh Berkey, Victims and Villains. Shout out to him. He's doing awesome work. So we're trying to finish off the year off strong, staying busy.
Like it.
No merch yet, but I'm sure we'll do something. We have hoodies left over from a while ago. We need to clear those out first. Hoodies and shirts, Bandcamp, Instagram.
Well, I guess that brings me to my next question, and then I have a couple more. But like, where can people find your music, your merch? Go ahead and shout that out so our listeners know where to find your stuff.
Bend the Knee VA on Instagram.
_VA.
That's right. We got stuff on Spotify. We got anywhere that you listen to music. We got our music up on. We're gonna have some merch up on our Bandcamp, which is cool. Bandcamp, if you're unfamiliar, is like my favorite music platform. Especially they do Bandcamp Fridays, which are where all the funds go to the bands. There's no fees involved. I think they're the most user friendly out there. But yeah, we're everywhere. Anywhere you can listen to music, you can find us.
You know, Bandcamp's a funny site because us musicians know about it, but non-musicians don't go to Bandcamp and stream.
I know.
And it's a great site. It's incredibly effective. You can sell your merch. They don't take any percentage off the merch. So shout out Bandcamp.
More people should use Bandcamp.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Zoomers, we're on TikTok. Bend the knee _VA on TikTok too.
Yo, we just had our first video pop on TikTok. It did pretty good. I couldn't believe it. We had more than 12 followers on it. It was awesome.
Damn,
It's quite a bit.
Yeah, it's pretty
more
cool.
than 12. That's a baker's dozen.
I know. I'm saying.
If you know TikTok, that is a lot. Seriously.
So I wanted to ask you, Rob, you have Rival Booking, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about that and tell our listeners about Rival.
Rival Booking is a promotion company I started at the beginning of this year. I've been really fortunate enough to kind of bring some of my friends from where I grew up down here and link them up with some cool bands in the area. I'm taking on this show in Fredericksburg. It's going to be my 16th show I did this year after not doing this thing forever.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year. Like on top of all the stuff with Bend the Knee, doing Rival Booking, but it's been a lot of fun. I got my last show here November 1st here in Richmond with Body Farm from Ohio, Pittsburgh area. We got Nailed Shut from Massachusetts, Infernal Gaze, who are some dope Richmond dudes, and Lacking, Fredericksburg Power Violence Goons Lacking. Shout out Dakota. Shout out to Maddie's last show, right?
Maddie, Rooney, yeah, shout out Lacking. That's one of my favorites around here.
Dope. Yeah, super dope. So that's going to be a good one to kind of end my year out in Richmond, and I'm already working on 2025, which is fucking crazy, but it's happening. So.
Yeah, I'll for sure be at that show, the Lacking and Body Farm show. That's gonna be sick as shit.
Sweet, awesome, man.
Oh yeah,
I'll buy you a beer.
This last thing I had really before we wrap up, you know, we have a lot of homies either here in Virginia or around. I figured I would let you guys maybe shout some people out, some bands, some of our listeners should check out.
Tim, you do shout outs first. That way I don't ramble on forever.
Oh my God, I don't.
You don't have
You
to.
put me on the spot.
You don't have to.
I was gonna look at my phone for people to shout out.
He's about to go on Instagram.
my phone is dead.
You gotta shout out mom and dad.
Oh, dude, it failed you, really.
Yeah. Dang, man. I
Oh,
guess.
sorry.
Moo Dang. Shout out Moo Dang.
Shout out Mudang.
All right.
I was
Nah,
sorry,
for
on
real.
the bingo card.
Yo, shout out Hard Facts Palmer. Shout out Fit Checks. Shout out The Get Off. Shout out Cross Island Connect up in Long Island. Shout out Josh from Victims and Villains. Homie. It's just too many. There's so many good bands out here in Richmond. And back where I grew up, it's like it's impossible to name everybody. But yo, you know, if I fuck with you, big ups.
Yeah, shout outs are hard because you for sure are going to leave people out. But we have a pretty tight knit community between Rival, Tired and Pissed Booking hasn't done a lot.
Shout out Tired and Piss Booking.
But we're knocking the dust off and off the old Rolodex.
Shout out.
Gonna try to make some moves there. And yeah, man. Well, that's all I had for questions. I really, really appreciate you guys' time today, especially Tim, who I won't say where he's from, but he's from a land of snallygasters.
Oh yeah, the Snallygaster. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out South Mountain.
Shout out.
I just learned
Yeah.
about what that is today.
Yep. Yeah. Shout out Cryptids.
It seems like the three of y'all know what the fuck that is, and I'd never even heard of that.
Well, he's
And
from-
my
he's
man's got
living
a
there.
picture up on the
Some-
wall, which is dope. Now
Wait, there's a
I could
Snallygaster up there?
Yeah, look right above the TV.
an image to the name. That's
Oh,
wild.
There he is.
It's Cthulhu, bro.
Yeah, man.
Eldritch horror.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really appreciate you guys making the trip and making the time and doing this with us. And any other bands that want to come out, you know, we're trying to either feature whether it's a song, a music video, an interview like these guys endured, or whatever. You know, we'd be
It was a
happy to
pleasure,
have you
dude.
guys. So
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so follow us on Instagram, give us a follow, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to these guys, follow them everywhere.
Strings and sweaters.
We're gonna make sure that in the description we put links to everything. We'll do his YouTube channel, we'll do all the music channels, everything. So
Links on links.
Pre-save our EP Betrayal Spotify.
Yeah, check that
Pre-save
shit
it,
out.
please. It helps the algorithm. I've heard that the algorithm makes a big difference. I don't know anything about that. I'm a fucking caveman. But people tell me that if they pre-save it, it helps us somehow. So please do that for us. Thank you.
Yep. So don't be lame and make sure you check these guys out. And I got nothing else. Does anybody else have anything else?
That's it.
Forever hold your peace.
Shout out my wife, Trish.
Until
Thank
next-
you for the patience that you
Shout out
deal with my
Trish.
bullshit.
Shout out Hard Fact.
Shout out wives. I got one too. She's great.
Shout out my girlfriend Amanda.
Yeah, shout out Megan.
All our girlfriends. Shout out.
Shout out. We love you guys. All
Shout
right.
out my kids. All right, guys.
Thank
Forever
you.
hold your peace.
Till next time.
All right, take care.
I feel betrayed, but I can't stay away from you. The pressure long, it sways across the stage line. And the trust, the victims have become this blood. Terror.